right, cutting straight across to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has landed in the United Arab Emirates. After that successful trip in France, the Prime Minister is on in UAE. Now he is in Abu Dhabi. We'll get you more details in terms of what's on the agenda right there. He's being greeted by the leaders. He's getting a welcome over there in United Arab Emirates. You can see there is a welcome of Prime Minister Narendra Modi as soon as he lands. Geeta Mohan is now joining us for the latest on this. Geeta, we can see visuals coming in India Today exclusive of the Prime Minister landing in Abu Dhabi. He's in United Arab Emirates. What's on the agenda for the Prime Minister after that successful trip to France?
Well, the agenda very clear over here, Chaiti. It is an official visit. It's a day visit, but a very important one at that. This is Prime Minister Modi's fifth visit to the UAE, two visits by Sheikh Nahyan to India, which means 7 leadership visits in a matter of 9 years between India and the UAE. So a very significant visit yet again. It will begin with his first meeting would be with Sultan Jaber, who is the president-elect of COP28, Chaiti. And despite all the concerns that have been raised and criticism the world over with regards to the UAE presidency of the COP28, and the president-elect being the head of ADNOC as well, which is an oil firm, and the world talks about conflict of interest. Here India is showing solidarity, saying that it is the issue of climate change that should be addressed, and the UAE having held presidency this year, one has to cooperate and ensure that the real conversations on the impact of climate change really take place. So his first meeting is going to be with Sultan Jaber after he lands, after which there are going to be bilateral talks between, there is a ceremonial welcome followed by delegation level talks with Sheikh Nahyan, and then press statements followed by a banquet lunch, and then he will be returning to Delhi. So it's a very short visit, but one that will be significant. We spoke with the Indian envoy to the UAE, Ambassador Sanjay Sudhir, who said that there is a critical announcement on a very important one on educational cooperation, where an IIT would be coming up in Abu Dhabi. There are some other announcements that are also going to take place, but we'll have to wait and see what that really encompasses in terms of
key areas of energy, food security and defense.
Well, absolutely, Chaiti. These are ongoing areas of cooperation. And we will see statements that will signify the importance of forward movement on that front. And the security architecture, the partnership, there is going to be some announcement on that front as well, and as to how the two countries are going to cooperate. Furthermore, the IIT, establishing of an IIT in Abu Dhabi is going to be significant, not just for the UAE, but also for India. And we are also looking at more trade and connectivity. After the CEPA that was signed between the two countries, we are looking at more businesses going both ways. But it's one important question, Chaiti, that many are asking is why the UAE? Why has the Prime Minister frequented the UAE so much? The fact is that the UAE in West Asia and in the Muslim world and the Islamic world has been a very important trusted partner of India. Take, for example, two very important areas: extradition of fugitives, of people who are wanted in India. UAE no longer is a safe haven for fugitives who are wanted in India. Secondly, on the Kashmir issue and the G20, India has hosted the G20 summit in G20 events in Kashmir, and UAE participated as an invitee. But more so and more importantly, just ahead of the G20, there was an investor summit that was held in Srinagar, and the UAE, of all the countries in West Asia who are iffy about investing in Kashmir or talking about Kashmir or engaging Kashmir because of the OIC position calling Kashmir a disputed territory, UAE has come forward and has not only engaged in that investor summit, but also pledged, MR has pledged 500 crores of investment in Kashmir, shopping mall in Srinagar, infrastructure projects around Kashmir. So that's significant coming from a country that holds a very important position in the OIC, a place where India is criticized very often, but that's a forum where the UAE now stands with India on many occasions vis-a-vis Pakistan.
Any comments coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs on the back of this visit of Prime Minister Modi to UAE?
Well, Chetty, we will just be playing out the Indian envoy's, the Indian envoy to the UAE, Ambassador Sanjay Sudhir's interview, and that certainly is the voice of the Ministry of External Affairs as to what this. It's a comprehensive interview as to what this visit really holds, how important it is, what are the areas that will come up for discussion, and how the two countries are going to move forward on various fronts, including trade, connectivity, security, defense, as also the areas that might trouble countries in the neighborhood, particularly Pakistan, but one where the UAE stands strongly with India.
Right. And how many days is the Prime Minister expected to be in UAE?
Well, it's a day-long visit, which means he lands right now, followed by a meeting with Sultan Jaber, which will be followed by a ceremonial welcome and the delegation-level talks. And after press statements and a banquet lunch that will be hosted by Sheikh Al Nahyan, he will head for Delhi. So it's a short visit, Chetty, but one that is going to have a lot of outcomes and deliverables.
Yes, and upon his landing in Delhi, one also is going to be looking forward to what he has to say about many issues that Delhi is currently facing with the flood situation in North Delhi, and you've got Manipur, you've got so many other issues at hand in India and business that he'd have to take control of when he comes back. Geeta.
Well, that's right. See, the fact that India and various parts of India are facing the worst kind of floods and flood-like situation clearly spells out the importance in addressing the issue of climate change. The conversation with Sultan Jaber, who is the president-elect of COP28, which is a climate change forum, and this is the first review forum after the Paris Agreement, is going to focus on that. So when he returns, and also in Paris, Chetty, there was a joint statement, a separate statement on single-use plastic. So when he comes back, he is going to address those issues as well. But there are a lot of challenges back home, and we'll have to wait and see when he returns what his statement is going to look like, not just on the two-country visit front, but also on the domestic front.
Absolutely. Geeta, continue to be with us right there. You can see the first up visuals and exclusive ones while at it flashing on your screens of the Prime Minister in Abu Dhabi right there. First up visuals on India today of the Prime Minister in Abu Dhabi. And Geeta just got us the agenda. She just got us the key points on the agenda of the bilateral talks also that India is going to be having with Abu Dhabi, with the Prime Minister present over there, or rather United Arab Emirates, and the wide-ranging talks with the UAE President while there. This is coming on the back of the two-day France tour. His stopover in UAE, rather an important one, and then he returns to New Delhi, and it's going to be interesting to see what he has to say about the situation domestically as well once he's back. Geeta is still with us. Geeta, do you see the visuals on the screens? Are you able to?
Well, I can see the visuals. I did watch the visuals of Prime Minister landing. He is now, he was welcomed by the leadership in Abu Dhabi, and following which he is going to then go ahead with his meeting with Sultan Jaber, which is a crucial one, a critical meeting between Prime Minister Modi and the President-elect of COP21, COP28, and after which the delegation-level talks will begin.
Yes, and that's exactly what the visuals are of Prime Minister Modi landing in UAE, and Geeta just elaborated on what is on the agenda. The Prime Minister is also going to be attending a lunch, is what we are picking up. So the complete itinerary also flashing on your screens right there. But these are first up visuals coming in on India today of the Prime Minister in UAE. He's going to be holding bilateral talks with President Sheikh Mohammed. The defense talks are going to be in focus as well. He's going to be holding, I beg your pardon, discussions with President Sheikh Mohammed, he's going to be focusing on strengthening bilateral ties in various sectors, security, food, energy, defense. We're getting you all the details, and Geeta's bringing us all the details as well of the two countries and how they're going to be taking forward the bilateral ties in these areas that we just spoke about. There has been a exclusive conversation with the MEA as well that Geeta has done, which we will play out in moments from now. Geeta, if you could elaborate and encapsulate the conversation with the MEA that we are likely to play out.
Well, not the Ministry of External Affairs particularly, but the Indian ambassador to the UAE, that's Ambassador Sanjay Sudhir. And Ambassador Sanjay Sudhir explained to us what this meeting and what this visit really means for India and the UAE relations and ties. Beginning with the fact that this is the 7th leadership meeting, 5 incoming visits of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and 2 outgoing visits from the UAE of Sheikh Al Nahyan to India. So 7 leadership visits. That itself goes to show the importance the two countries attach to each other and to enhancing relations. The conversation also focused on what are going to be the deliverables. He said that there are going to be some important announcements. You will see some very important announcements on trade connectivity, CEPA, and taking that forward on that front. But certainly an announcement on an IIT that will come up in Abu Dhabi. The meeting with Sultan Al Jaber, who is the president-elect of COP28, and also is the chief executive of the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, because of which there has been a lot of criticism of him being a part of COP28 and climate change. Is conflict of interest is something that India's messaging with that first meeting is about the fact that this is an important meeting. It is an important year for the United Arab Emirates, which is going to host the Climate Change Summit. And that's why the first meeting is going to be with Sultan Al Jaber, following which there are going to be the official welcome ceremony and the delegation level talks between the two countries. And Ambassador Sudhir talking about not just the importance of that, but also how significant UAE has become for India in the Islamic world. The people-to-people exchange, remittances that come from the UAE into India. There are many Indians who are working in the UAE. So this is a very important part of the conversations between the two countries, and that certainly will remain the focus. He also mentioned and spoke about how there have been so many policies for India within the United Arab Emirates that there are businesses that are shifting based from various other countries, Indian businesses, and moving to the UAE. The golden visa that was introduced for Indians has been availed by a lot of Indians and is a promising policy for the two countries, where Indians now can move to the UAE and start working there without any hassle, ease of doing business. So all these areas were discussed, but the security architecture, defense cooperation, climate change cooperation, and particularly the fact that UAE has taken a policy position on Kashmir is something that really helps India when it comes to India's position at the OIC as also in the Islamic world.
Absolutely. We also have Raju Nagarajan, who is a senior journalist, who is joining us. Raju, if you could give us a little bit of a perspective on India's West Asia strategy that UAE is going to be holding key to how UAE, I beg your pardon, will be holding key to India's West Asia strategy on the back of this visit of the Prime Minister in UAE?
He occupies a very pivotal position in this issue because of the long and very deep relationship it has had with India. And right now, since Mr. Modi came to power, this has been his 5th visit, and there are 2 key partnerships that were signed between the 2 countries. One is the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. The other one is the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. The first one anchors the strategic national interests and sets out a roadmap for them. The other one drives the economic growth of both countries in a beneficial way. Can I go on?
Yes, absolutely. But the personal chemistry also, if you could tell us, in the close rapport between President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and Prime Minister Modi, and how that has been a rather key factor in the rapid development of this close partnership.
Yes, right from the beginning, they have found a mutual understanding of each other's, how do you call it, thinking, a kind of wavelength that they found for themselves that was mutually understandable and lead to working relationships that have practical implications. And Mr. Modi, as I said, has been here several times before, and the UAE's President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan has been to India 2 times at least.
Yeah.
And he was, I think, the guest of honor at one of the Republic Day parades.
Yes. Go on.
And this kind of relationship underpins the entire strategy that UAE and India are planning or are implementing at the moment in a long-term way. UAE is kind of a bridgehead for India's relationship in trade and commerce with not just the GCC, but also African countries, which has a huge market there.
I believe that the bilateral trade has grown to about $85 billion in FY23, and that has made UAE India's 3rd largest trading partner. So if you could tell us a little more about the trading ties that we share with the UAE, and with this meeting, how India would benefit going forward.
Yeah, for a long time, India has always been in the top 2 or 3 countries in terms of trade partnership, trade volumes, trade values with the UAE. What is driving it to higher levels now is this Comprehensive Economic and Partnership Agreement, CEPA, they call it. It's similar to what India is currently negotiating with the UK. What the UAE is offering under this, and the way they have shaped this CEPA between the UAE and India, is that 90% of export products and 80% of lines of trade between the 2 countries will be duty-free. It is huge, and this is likely to rise to 97% and 99% in the coming years. Right now, since the CEPA agreement was signed last year in 2022, the trade has already hit $50 billion from $40 billion. And the target of $100 billion by 2027 is likely to be overtaken much before that time.
You're talking about bilateral trades in good to about $100 billion in 5 years, I'm guessing. And what about the trade in services?
To services, of course, you know how they work, because India has a lot to offer, and the UAE is a market open to all kinds of services, and Indians dominate this region here. And it ranges from financial advisories to trade, of course, then logistics, which is a huge area of growth nowadays. And Beyond that, we have the people-to-people relationship, which has been growing over the decades.
Has SEPA really increased employment opportunities? How is
Yes,
SEPA
it
benefiting
should,
from that side?
actually, on both sides,
yeah.
if you look at it. UAE's investments on both sides has been increasing. The Indian businessmen are increasingly investing in FDI projects in UAE, and UAE companies are already well established in India and expanding, investing in several billions of dollars.
Right. Raju, continue to be with us. Our Foreign Affairs editor is also with us. Geeta, you follow this rather very closely, and I'm sure you heard what Raju Nagarajan has said vis-a-vis SEPA and many other key points that he just mentioned. How would you read, you know, as somebody who tracks this day in and day out, the personal chemistry, the rapport between Sheikh Al Nahyan and Prime Minister Modi?
Well, the fact that the leadership's meetings have taken place in on so many occasions, and also the fact that India has invited the UAE as a special guest for the G20 clearly shows the importance that the two countries attach to the relations. But like Nagarajan was saying, it's not just about the trade and enhancement of trade. Both countries are looking at each other as an extension of the neighborhood. In the neighborhood first policy, we look at the immediate neighbors and in the region. But if you just look a little beyond, it's the UAE that's one of the most important and critical partners in the region. And that's how India is treating the United Arab Emirates and enhancing cooperation.